Hi guys, it is Tuesday, May 1st, and today the weather is actually a bit better. It did rain the entire morning, so we spent that time cleaning up the apartment again, and it did indeed rain the entire night, but right now it's actually quite sunny, and it has been for a few hours. So, Jordi is working in the van, and I thought I'd show you something that Jordi has been working on over the past couple of days, and because that's nearly finished, and we have that laying in the apartment, so I thought I'd show you that first before I head to the van. So a while ago we bought 2 plug sockets and 2 light switches, as well as 4 of these things that protect the back of the light switches and plug sockets, but we needed an area in which we could install these. So yesterday Jordi built this small structure. It will hold the plug sockets and light switches, and that has a front panel, a back panel, 2 side panels and a panel on the top. And these light switches and plug sockets will be inserted in these holes that will be connected to this structure, and the cables can run out at the back. Most of the electrics has now been installed, and the distribution board has been secured under the bench area, so that is safe and it's all in place. We also have a door for the area that's built around it, that's also on the table there, and that means that it's nearly finished. Now once this paint is dry, we can install the plug sockets and light switches so that we can finish off the entire electrics area. And the cabinet, the wardrobe has also been finished and painted, so the solar charger and this cabinet can be screwed into place eventually. Tomorrow we will first head to the garage though to have the van checked over for a new MOT and to switch the tires, so that means that we're not going to install it yet. As we just want to have as little as possible in the van when we go there. But it's nearly finished, so that means that once we can install it, we have everything ready for it. Earlier today, Jordi also cut this beam and these small pieces of ply and small beams. We still missed a side panel at the top of the wardrobe near the back doors. So this is what that's going to be. That's just scooted back a little bit, like a couple of centimeters, because the van is a little bit curved there, so the wall couldn't run up with the rest. And then Jordi also made these 2 dividers that will have a separation there on that shelf. Then this beam will run along the ceiling in between the original side panel on the right and the new side panel on the left. We just finished connecting the hinges to the door and to the frame of the kitchen, but then we saw that the door wouldn't open, so that means that the floor is uneven. So now we're cutting off a piece and then we have to sand it down and paint it all over again. Right now we are working on the slatted base for the bed, so I wanted to show you guys the bed frame once more before we install the slatted base. So right now we are missing one part, which is the area that will lay here or that will move there. And we are now connecting slats between beams that will run here and there. So this square will be filled, then that small rectangle will be filled, and then this rectangle of which the rectangle is outside, which will hang in here. It will also have slats. So we have slats in 3 sizes. So these are the smaller slats. These small squares, which are very cute, will be up here in this small area. Then these medium slats will go in the frame that will hang here. And this is one of the stacks of longer slats, which will be in the middle and which is what we will sit on when the bed is in the sofa position. And now Jordi is just working on connecting a beam to that slatted base part that will move from the bed area to the sofa backrest, and he's just connecting these pieces to the wood, drilling holes through them first and using some bolts to connect them. And once those are all in place, he can determine the place for the slats that will be across all the way along to the end. As you guys know, we will have open shelves in our wardrobe, And we wanted to use these slats that ran along horizontally. That would prevent from items scooting out when we went through corners and stuff like that. But when we want to store clothing in here, these stacks will obviously be quite high, and they will not be one solid object all the way from the bottom to the top. So that means that a stack of clothing could fall off if we did not build it tight enough up until the next shelf. So we were thinking about doors and stuff that we could use, like using doors on this part and using this as bulk storage for food. But we decided to go with bungee cord, as we have seen that in 2 vans now, and we really like the look of it. But we did want to discuss it and talk to you about it because bungee cord doesn't only consist of rubber, it also has some polypropylene in the middle, on the outside I mean, and it's not sustainable. It is 50% plastic. It's a thermoplast that cannot be even recycled once, and every time we bend the material, small pieces of plastic can break off, and that will create microplastics, and if they blow out in a wind, they can end up in water systems quite easily. Other things that we could have done is install doors, but that wouldn't work with the mattress, and it also really messed up the look in the van, and that's something we didn't want. So we spent a couple of days looking for cotton bungee cord, but we couldn't find any. And we didn't even, we first started looking in the Netherlands, but there was nothing here, and we could see that there was something out there, but we couldn't find it. So then we started looking at websites like in America and in England, and even they didn't have any. So we did end up going with regular bungee cord, and although it's not the best, it's not a lot of it, and yeah, it's kind of like one of the only plastic things that we have in the van, to be honest. If we take a look around, the only thing we see is wood, tile and metal, and yep, cork. But if we proper think about it, we do see quite some plastic actually, even though we really minded it. So, because the other day actually we got a comment, I think it was Frederick who asked us, or perhaps it was Philip, I'm not sure, I think Philip, saying, yeah, wondering whether or not we had already acquired plastic containers, because they are used in campervans and RVs a lot, and we know what you guys mean. And they are very handy because you can stack them and you can buy them in different sizes, and they are very handy when it comes to bulk storage or clothing that you don't have to access daily. But we decided not to take that because it's even more plastic, and we do have some baskets still and we might not even need them. And that's also why we didn't want to have baskets and stuff in the cupboard, because if we only cover it with some bungee, that's all we need, and we can just stuff stuff behind it. But we do have some plastic in the van, and I thought I'd show you. One massive thing that we have that's made out of plastic is the water tank, as well as the wastewater tank and the tube that connects the wastewater tank to the sink. And then we have one small tube that connects the faucet, which is plastic, to the water pump and the water tank. All of the cables, obviously, that we have are covered in plastic. So they run along the van, and that's quite a lot of meters of cables. Then we have the Max Air fan, which is obviously plastic, and the batteries are also both completely covered in plastic. But that's about it. I think this this dog crate has some plastic on the corners, but these are all solid plastics and they will not move. They will basically stay put static, and we will not scrape them, we will not use them in a way that the plastic will grind down. So this will not produce microplastics as much, we hope. But plastic baskets and things that we move around a lot or clip open and close will do that much more easily. So we were thinking about going with some wooden baskets. For example, we have a lot of wood, obviously, that we have to store for the wood burner. And we just cut up a couple of pieces of beams that we couldn't use anymore because we are basically finished with the large structures. So that firewood will be stored in a wooden basket. We have to buy that. We have already found a couple that we like, and there's a store quite close that we will visit this week, and we will buy a basket there. And we might also do the same for stuff like socks and underwear and stuff like that we can store behind the bungee, but we hope to keep it at like 1 or 2, and the rest will mainly be basketless. So the baskets that we are buying have already been used, so they are second-hand, meaning that they have been used, I think, to store fruit and stuff like that. So they will have a nice print saying what was in there. It might have also stored wine and stuff like that, but you will see that once we buy them. So they're second-hand, meaning that it's much more sustainable as well. So we're very happy about that, and we try to make as many of those good decisions as we can. At some places that's not really possible, or we just don't have the time to really work it out, but I think that overall we've done quite well. Obviously this process has also not been waste free. We have used a lot of sealant and adhesive, and that all comes in plastic tubes, but that's the only way that you can connect some stuff. We cannot connect the insulation without adhesive. We would have then had to use an insulation material that was not sustainable, meaning that we would have used a lot more of more plastic or other stuff that we did not agree with. So yeah, just wanted to touch upon that. It was quite a long rant, but I think that makes sense, and it has a lot to do with what we stand for and what we value and what we write about on our website, so I thought I would tell you about it.